Today's episode is sponsored by No Strings Attached e-News, your premier online magazine with interesting and informative articles from lifestyle, entertainment, and news worldwide. Visit the website to find out what's buzzing on nsaen.com. Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Actor Adam Meir is today's guest. Adam will talk about his years in Hollywood as well as his years in Hungary and Israel.
Actor, voiceover artist, singer, mime, and producer, Adam Meir. Welcome to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. Adam, before we get into your latest projects, can you take us back to the beginning? What first drew you to acting, and when did you realize it was more than just a passion, it was actually your calling?
I was born in Hungary, Budapest, and it's unrelated to why I became an actor, but I'm just saying I was born in Hungary, and I remember throughout my childhood I was watching films and TV shows as everybody else, and every time there was a kid on screen, I was wondering and asking my parents, like, how did he get there? How does he do that? I want to do that. It looks cool to play whatever, somebody else that is not me. And there was no answer really. It was just like, like, oh yeah, they're kid actors, and that was it. Right. But then I found magic, and I decided to become a magician. Ooh. So my parents bought me all these magic boxes and magic kits and sets and all that, and I would do big shows to my family and the neighbors and friends coming over, and I would do a full-on 20-minute magic show in my house, and my parents were like, okay, this guy has something. Right. So they found a drama class, an afternoon class in elementary school, and they sent me to go to this class, and I was the only boy, so I got all the lead parts, and I really loved it. And from that on, it was just a natural way of how things were. I went to high school for the arts, and then an acting academy in Israel, which I grew up in Israel. And then I joined the army, and after the army, high school, then I joined the army, and then I went to the academy of acting academy in Israel, and then I came here to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Los Angeles, and then from there on, just keep on doing that forever.
Yeah, well, you always seem to be honing your craft, and I know about the connection with Hungary and Israel, but what can you tell us about acting school while you were in Israel?
To be honest, the acting schools over there are very good. They are very old-fashioned. There's, back in the day, even less than now, but it's a different country, so all this whole, I'll call it PC, things that are definitely don't exist over there in acting schools. It's people are pounding on your soul and pounding on your emotions, and they want to get the most out of you. It doesn't matter if it comes from yelling at you or being nice to you or insulting you. Somehow they're gonna get the emotion and your soul to go to the bottom of its core. And so I have to say the acting schools over there are very good. They definitely teach you how to to be in touch with your own self, really. It was a great, really great schools. And of course, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts it was incredible. And it was a very different style. It was very professional, how to behave in a professional manner, and how things are done in the US, and how do you behave on a set, and how do you behave in a theater, and how do you have to present yourself. And actually they taught you a different thing. If you don't do anything for yourself, nobody's going to do it for you, which is a really good lesson. And the reason that 99% of the people quit is because they don't have that in them to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing until something happens. So it was a perfect combination of both. One of them is like pounding you to do things, and the other one is not telling you to do anything. And if you did, then they'll teach you. But if you don't want to do it, no worries, just come to school or don't come or whatever. You paid us already, so you're good.
So I've in my other life, I was a teacher for over 30 years, and I had several students who visited Israel many times. How, what's the way of life there for you as a young person? Especially since visitors or other people sometimes get worried, should I travel? Is now a good time? But how did you find it as a young person?
It's an amazing place to grow up in. It's very free to do whatever you want. People, I mean, as time goes by, it gets worse and worse, like everything else. The US is worse now than it used to be in the 40s or 50s. People, I used to walk to school on my own when I was in fifth grade, and nobody bothered me, and you can do whatever you want, and you go out and you never come back until 8 p.m. and you just hang out, and nobody's worried, and nobody thinks you're going to be kidnapped or killed or whatever. None of those things. It's a very free country, and it's a very expressive people. So you're free to really discover who you are without rules and regulations of childhood, and it's incredible. In my opinion, it's a situation now is different. Obviously, right now it's even more different. But still, I mean, you can go now to Israel. You're not going to feel anything. You might hear a siren every other day, but in between sirens, this is normal life. Everybody's fine. They're going to the bars and to the clubs and the restaurants, and everybody's having theater and stand-up comedy shows, and it's all normal.
Right.
And then you have a siren, and then exactly. 10 minutes later, you're back to normal life.
So true, so true. So you started to hone your craft there, and your career now, it spans stage, film, television. How do you adapt your performance style for each medium, and which one has challenged you the most?
I mean, in acting school back then, especially, you study theater mostly, scene study and scene breakdowns and standing on stage and speaking out loud and diction and language and dialects and all these things. And so everybody that comes out of acting school, I guess they know how to do theater really well. But then film is different. It's the opposite, almost. Inside it's the same, but outwards it's very different. You got to be very small. It's all in the eyes. It's all in the motionless scenes or in between the lines, and that was challenging at the beginning for sure. And then I go back and forth. I don't know. I guess at this point I adapted. I know how to go in between. And then, of course, there's all the styles. So theater, if you do regular theater, let's just call it regular theater, it's similar. You get a part, you do it on stage, you have to stand this way and exit here and enter here. Film is every show has its own style. Every director they have their own style. Every medium, like sitcom, is a different style. You have to deliver lines differently than in a drama. And a 1 hour drama is different than a half-hour drama. And a sitcom multicam is different than a single cam. And it's all different acting styles. And if you don't fit in the style, even in the audition part, you're not going to get the part. And it's not because you're not a good actor. You just don't fit that world. You don't fit that vibe. And casting directors might not even know why they don't cast you, but it just feel that it's just not right for what they are looking for. So you got to learn all that. And in American TV and film is very, very prominent. Foreign films, it's not exactly the same. It's similar acting style. It's just the lines or the colors or the editing would give the differences that much. But here it's even written in a certain way. When you go study script, screenwriting, they teach you have to write certain lines a certain way if you want to do a sitcom, if you have to write a certain way if you want to write a 1 hour comedy. It's different, everything. So you got to learn all that, and that's challenging. That's to fit into every audition. One day you get a sitcom audition, the second day you get a heavy Holocaust drama audition. You cannot do the same exact thing, and that's challenging.
Well, that's such a transparent response. And I have to ask you, you mentioned so many intricacies and you have so much knowledge. Have you ever mentored young actors?
I have. I taught at the American Academy for 1 semester, and that was really fun. I taught them mainly audition technique, which is exactly that. I would bring to class every day a different kind of style, and then or different students would get different styles, and then it would show the differences of how things are written or how you have to act them out. And yeah, so it was really fun. I mean, again, you always, when you teach, you feel like you don't know enough.
Right.
But so I was always like wondering, am I saying the right thing? I think I am, but I'm not sure. But because again, even in that world, everything is different.
Right.
Because every producer has their own way to do things. So yeah, but I did mentor a little bit.
What is method acting? We hear so much about that all the time, and I don't think a lot of people have I know I don't have a handle on it. So what?
Yeah, method acting is it's people think that method acting is like if you get a part as a prisoner, then you got to go to prison for a week to live that's not that's a methodical acting, let's just say. It's a smart idea, I think. It's nice to, if I have to play a ER doctor, I'll go to my ER doctor friends and ask him, hey, can I join you for a couple of shifts? And which he won't allow. But anyway, but method acting comes from the method of Stella Adler and Lee Strasberg, that they developed a method of how actors should act. And that's all it is. If you follow that method, that's called method acting. But it's unrelated to what people think, that it's like, oh, I'm a method actor, I'm going to be a homeless guy for a week now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So every actor has a breakthrough moment. What was the role, and you've had many, or experience that made you feel, oh, this is it. This is why I do this?
It's really, for me, it's a little hard to say because I do so many different things. So there is like a breakthrough in every part. I do a lot of special effects things, and when they don't see my face, or sometimes, lots of times you don't even hear my voice. I play a lot of creatures. I specialize in gorillas, which is strange, but I specialize in gorillas in films and TV all over the world. I do voiceovers a lot for many films and, TV shows, and dubbing, and many languages that I speak. So it's hard to say, really. There's a film now that is coming out. It's one of them for sure. I just finished shooting a film with George R. R. Martin, the creator and writer of Game of Thrones. That was a lead role, so that's a really huge thing, and I'm very happy and very excited to see what came out of it. So we're finishing it actually this month. We have the last recording session for ADR, and then the movie will come out in a couple of months. I think that might be one of them, for sure. But I did. I can, me being an immigrant to the U.S., went through all the processes of visas and green cards and all that. And I got all my papers based on my career. So every one of these things that actually helped me get a better visa or a green card would be a breakthrough role.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one for sure was a film I did called Freedom's Fury that was produced by Quentin Tarantino and Lucy Liu. And it was a documentary unrelated to what they usually do. It's a documentary about the Hungarian Olympics in 1956, actually Melbourne Olympics, but the Hungarian team played water polo against the Australians, against the Russians in Australia. And that was a very famous water polo game. People were really pissed off. The match was at the same day of when the revolution started in 1956, and said they actually tried to kill each other in the water. There was blood all over the pool. It was a very famous story. So I found an audition on Craigslist.
Wow.
Literally on Craigslist, and then they said, "Oh, we need some older men who can do Hungarian accents and to voice some characters." That was the thing. I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And then later I found out that this is the film, and it was produced by these giant people, and I was like, "Oh my God!" So I auditioned for it in the parking lot of my school.
Wow.
And on a break, they said, "Well, it's a voiceover audition, so call us." And I called, and they sent me the lines and an email, and I was like, "Oh my God, I have like 5 minutes to learn these lines to do a Hungarian or a Russian accent." And I auditioned in a parking lot, and and immediately the guy was like, "All right, you're it." Okay. And then that was it. So that's a huge breakthrough role. Yeah,
Sure.
for sure.
Oh, yeah. What a great story. What are you allowed to tell us about the latest project? You alluded to it a little earlier about your part. Are you allowed to tell us anything about?
Well, all I can say is that it's an incredible story that is it's a huge fantasy story, um, with many strange and funny and cute characters. And the story spans across 4,000 years,
Mhm.
all over the world, in every environment and everything that really could have happened after humanity died
Mm.
out. 1,500 years after the world is over, that's when the story starts. And that's really all I can say. I'm bound by a lot of DNAs and NDAs and stuff like that. But it's an amazing story. It's a never been done before kind of movie, to be honest. In really almost every way. The story is very unique, and the way they did it is very, very unique. And I think it's going to be a huge hit. I hope.
Outstanding, outstanding. Thanks for that.
Of course.
Adam, on Life Stories with Marc Hoberman, we sometimes focus on the story behind the glory. So, what obstacles or setbacks did you face early on in your career?
Well, definitely the part that I'm a foreigner coming to the US, trying to make it big. Um, it was a I had first I came to audition. I've been told by every single person, do not go, you don't have a chance.
Mm.
You're competing. My friends in the industry told me the same thing. You're competing against all the Americans. First of all, you don't have the language. I didn't speak English very well when I came to audition. And the accent and all that is like you're competing against like a gazillion people that are right off the bat, they're 100% more advanced than you are,
Right.
just by being American. And then the amount of money that it costs to come to the school, and then of course they're like, well, you're always going to get the part of the terrorist, and every Israeli always gets the terrorist parts, and you always got to get the crappy roles. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to do it. It was a challenge. I almost didn't get accepted to the school because of my lack of English. I did the audition well, but when they interviewed me, I was like struggling with English, and they were like, well, you have to fit in here with
Right.
full on studying Shakespeare and understanding everything that people say, and you got to interact with the other students and what's going to happen. And finally, I did get accepted, but that was one of them. And to this day, to be honest, it's hard to. I do struggle to this day with the fact that my look and my name and my last name is not clear of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been suggested at the beginning when I just finished the academy to change my name to something obvious. Change it to Ruffalo. Then you'll be put in the Italian packet. Every time a casting director sees it, they'll put you, because I can look Italian. And if my name fits, I'm 100% Italian.
Right.
Change it to Sanchez. Then you'll be put in the Hispanic one, because I can look that too. Make a, I don't know, Goldstein. Then you'll put in the Jewish packet. And I didn't do it. My name Meir is a famous Meir. If it's Meyer, they would have said, oh yeah, he's Jewish. But that's not how it's spelled. People don't understand. Also, I'm not short. I'm not too short. I'm not too tall. I'm not too fat. I'm not too skinny. I'm not too dark. I'm not too light. Nothing. So it's like I'm in the middle of everything, and it's hard to cast me because, especially when you start, casting directors and directors, they want typecast, like full on, clear, all American surfer boy. He's got to look like that. The terrorist guy, he's got to be scruffier and darker. The Jewish guy, he's got to be nerdier and funnier and nervous. And so I didn't fit to any of these boxes. So it was always a hard time for my agents and my managers to get me in the right stuff. And actually they did struggle with it. I didn't book many of the parts that I should have, in my opinion. Just because because I walk in the room, now there are no rooms anymore, it's all taped auditions, but I walk in the room and everybody around me was like, well, they look more the part than me. Even I said that.
Yep.
It doesn't matter at this point when you're a good actor or not. If you fit the role, you'll book the job because you're nobody and nobody knows you, and you fit in for this one line, and then we'll get the guy who looks exactly what we're looking for. So that's a big struggle, I have to say. I think that many big actors today would have the same problem if they weren't famous. Like, I don't know, Robert Downey Jr. He can be anything. If he wasn't famous at all, he can be anything. I think he would have kind of the same problems, And then Al Pacino would never have a problem because his name is Al Pacino. And then what else are you gonna? And you look at him, it's like, he's just gonna play all that Italian thing.
Yep. So you almost have to be a chameleon. And speaking about you being so chameleon-like and not fitting into some parts, and I would argue then fitting yourself into those parts. I am a binge watcher. So I binge watched Ray Donovan, and I saw my favorite mime in one of the episodes. So how did you get that gig?
Yeah, well, I do a lot of these movement things. I always liked it. Since I grew up, Charlie Chaplin was he's right there. My main person to look for every answer in this industry, how to do it, what to do, why things work the way they work, how do you succeed in such a weird thing. And I always liked it. I actually, when I was in that drama school, when I was a kid, even the first class we took was a mime class, and how to express yourself with just feelings and just movement without talking. And I think that's the basis for every acting. If you can tell a story with no words, you definitely can tell a story with words. But vice versa is not always the case. And so I always liked it. I always wanted to be a mime, like Marcel Marceau, as when I was a kid, and I did all these things. And so I kept on doing it. Nobody does it. And I had a teacher in school, at the American Academy, who used to be one of the biggest mimes in the US, Don McLeod. He also used to be the gorilla of the 80s and 90s. And he did all the films he did Trading Places and A Man with Two Brains and all these gorillas back in the day and all these creatures. He did all the special effects in Total Recall, and great, very knowledgeable, very, very, very good teacher. And he was like, oh, this guy, he's the only one in class that really cares about this. Everybody wants to do film and TV, and this guy, he cares about the whole thing. So he took me into his company. And so I kept on going and doing this. And this day and age, there's not many people in my age that do stuff like that. So it's no competition, really.
Right.
So Ray Donovan came about, my manager sent production my tape, and that was it. They didn't even need to see me. They didn't even need to audition. It was like, that guy. Yeah, that's the only one. We are the only one we got, and he's good. So
looking ahead, what types of roles or projects excite you the most?
So, of course, I love all the dramas and all the important stories, and I do want to do certain things that I find important socially. For example, Holocaust subjects are very important to me. I actually have a film that I wrote, and it's in the process of being made finally. But I think that the movement art and physical comedy and physical acting somehow fell out of favor. I think maybe Jim Carrey was the last one who did some stuff like that, right? And nobody is even trying. And I think it's a mistake, because I think it's a huge demand for it, and everybody loved it back in the day. Everybody used to be able to do it. Every actor used to tap dance and mime and sing and do all the physical stuff that and I think that's something that I'm focusing on to bring back and tell stories maybe in a different way, not just a regular drama film about somebody that lived and that's it. I mean, it can be a great movie. I'm not saying that it won't be, but there's a way to do it. And I think that the media of cinema and theater should be used as what it is, not only just to tell a plain story, but more like use what it's capable of. And so my film is a Holocaust film, but it's a real story that I heard from my friend, and it's a funny story, and it's a heroic story. And I heard the story, and I was like, that's it. I have to do this. I have to make it a film. And I wrote it as a silent slapstick film. So so that's what I'm talking about. It's like telling the same beautiful, important stories. It doesn't have to be, of course, Holocaust or whatever, but in a stylized way, in an artistic way that people are not even familiar with anymore, especially not the young crowd. If you tell a young person who Charlie Chaplin is, they will be like, what? It's Hitler in a hat.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, I actually had someone, I put a picture of Charlie Chaplin on my Facebook page, and somebody wrote me, why would you put a picture of Hitler on your wall? And I was like, what are you, nuts? I mean, that lack of knowledge is beyond belief.
Well,
so I think it's really important to bring these things back. And it's fun. It's fun. Who doesn't like these, Chris Farley?
Yep.
Being a giant guy, being fat and cumbersome, he was a physical comedian, a brilliant one. And it's like, where are these people now? Where are these movies? Who didn't like Chris Farley? Who didn't like, back in the day, of course, Charlie Chaplin, and who doesn't like Mr. Bean? If people do still remember. I mean, these things are just like universally liked. And I don't know why they're not even trying to do these anymore. And so that's one of my goals.
Well, that's a lofty goal because, the physicality, I mean, you talk about Jerry Lewis and people like that too. The physicality of those kind of performances has died out quite a bit. And the fact that you want to resurrect it, I think, is wonderful. And so I wish you luck with that. I look so forward to seeing that work. So
thank you.
The time has flown by.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your personal stories with our audience.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hope that our viewers identify with your passion to excel in your chosen field. So thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.